Watch what's approaching, the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good, and welcome back for another showcase. I went ahead and went through the grind for the free-to-play AGL Veku unit, so I did want to showcase the unit. Depending on, how the skill sets are, you might want to switch around your potential system a little bit. I went with a heavy focus on additional attack, and I'll give you the reasons why here in a second. But the last pop quiz, Sorbet Turtle got the right answer, LR Tech Broly. I did see a lot of people comment LR Gohan and Goten, as well as the LR UI Goku, which those two are also in my top 3. But I think from a favorite standpoint, it's definitely Tech LR Broly. So for the next question, I think what I'm going to ask is, who are the only 2 characters who have never died in the whole Dragon Ball Z anime? So if you know the right answer and first comment that, I'll shout you out in the next video. So let's see what happens. Okay, so again, this is the brand new free-to-play unit, the Super AGL Veku unit. Leader skills fusion category key plus 3 HP attack and defense increase of 50%. The super attack is a high chance of massively raising attack for 1 turn and causes supreme damage to enemy. I think the massively raised attack for 1 turn should be the equivalent of a 50% chance to raise SA multiplier by 100% for 1 turn. And then for the passive skill, it's an attack increase of 150% and defense increase of 50%. However, attack minus 10% with each turn pass up to a max of minus 50%. And then medium chance of performing a critical hit when performing a super attack. And then defense and chance of evading enemies attack, including supers, plus 10% with each attack received, up to a max of 50%. So a lot of different skill sets built in, and kind of why I went toward the focus on additional attack for the potential system, because of the high chance of massively raising attack for 1 turn with the super attack, but also the ability of a medium chance of performing a critical hit when performing a super attack. So it all kind of falls in line with how the potential system kind of aligned with the skill sets built into the passive. Now, it is a little bit unfortunate that the attack will decrease by 10% with each turn pass up to 50%. I mean, I get that; it makes sense. Considering how the card or character itself is, it makes sense as to why a penalty like that would be applied. But we'll have to make do while we can. In terms of links at level 10, even though my unit is kind of low in link levels, let's just go ahead and cover the link levels at max. Attack increase 10% through Saiyan Warrior Race, and then Tough as Nails is defense increase 20% and reduces damage received by 5%. Fusion Failure is recovers 7% HP recovery. Fuse Fighter is key plus 2, attack and defense increase of 5%. Over in a Flash is key plus 3. And attack increase of 7%. Otherworld Warriors is attack increase of 20% and defense increase of 10%. And then Shattering the Limit is key plus 2 and attack and defense increase of 5%. Following categories for this unit: Fusion, Movie Heroes, and Otherworld Warriors. I ultimately decided to go with the Last Resort / Fusion category setup, even though I did consider going with potentially Movie Heroes and Otherworld Warriors, especially Otherworld Warriors, because that link is, a pretty substantial boost to attack and defense. But, nevertheless, I ultimately just went with the Last Resort Fusion setup. So this guy at 100% potential are, the following for stats. HP is 10,803, attack is 11,207, and defense is 6,766. 12 key multiplier is actually pretty decent, where it's 140%. So again, a lot of different stuff built in. It's a little bit wonky in terms of like team building, because it's not your traditional fusion unit. The link sets are a little bit different. Fusion Failure is a pretty uncommon one, not necessarily something to focus on too much, I guess, but 7% HP recovery could certainly kind of come into play here in terms of like some of the tougher battles. But with that being said, I don't imagine this unit to be brought on like the most difficult of events, you know what I'm saying? So I guess in that regard, it doesn't really make much of a difference. But yeah, I mean, I think the skill sets are good. It's just certain things are penalizing the unit, where it's essentially offsetting some of the benefits you bring by building up the passive, right? So it's almost like you're countering the penalty applied. So, a couple of things like the additional defense increase of 10% with each attack received is calculated separately for a total boost of defense of 125% after 5 attacks. You have different stuff like, the high chance of massively raising attack for 1 turn. That's an equivalent of a 50% chance to raise SA multiplier by 100% for 1 turn. And then, of course, the medium chance of performing a critical hit, that's a 25% equivalent. So, tack on a level 9 crits in the potential system. If the passive doesn't activate, you still have that roughly 18% chance to still get a crit. So, again, I went with the additional attack focus just because of the super attack ability, but also the built-in, crit availability or chance of performing a crit built in through a medium chance. But, I don't know. I don't expect to use this guy on a regular basis. And also, I am curious how this guy would improve with level 10 link sets. I would imagine, a pretty decent difference can be seen between the two. I mean, obviously, I have most of my link levels at level 2 and 3, just because it just came out and really didn't have the time to go through the link leveling just yet. But I think ultimately, right at the end of the day, this really just comes down to a troll or a collection type card. I mean, the super attack is pretty entertaining, and nice to be able to see some updated graphics on that. But again, I really think this is kind of one of those cards that you kind of keep in your collection. I went ahead and obviously got it to 100% potential, but I don't know if there's just necessarily a need to do that. Maybe on some sort of future event or stage or some sort, maybe it'll be a requirement. But I don't really see how much of a benefit this guy would bring on Super Battle Road Fusion category, for example, or even like movie heroes and whatnot. I just feel like this guy would be a little bit too much of a liability, even though your chance of evading does increase by up to 50%. Where I could certainly see that benefiting, I guess, because you only need to receive several attacks, because it is by 10% for each attack, so you could quickly build that up. But defensively, this guy, 6,700 toward defense, not much of a boost as much as you'd like toward defensive, percentage boost of 50% in the passive. So, all these things kind of play into the overall performance of the unit. So I'm just not quite sure how this guy would perform on an event like Super Battle Road per se. But I think from a general standpoint, obviously having another option is certainly a good thing. But yeah, I just don't see how often I would end up actually using this unit. But again, that's really, I just kind of wanted to showcase like things a little bit. I did switch the rotations up in the second half where instead of having the EZA AGL Super Vegito as the first slot unit pairing up with the Veku, I went with Topo. He does provide that extra boost with the super attack as well. So I did notice a little bit of a boost in overall attack stats for Veku by having Topo in the first slot and potentially having some support floating around in the floater position. But overall, it's a decent unit. I think the max I've seen so far on a realistic setting was like 1.3, maybe 1.4 million in attack stats, which isn't horrible by any means. That's pretty decent. But from a viability, practicability, functionality standpoint, I just don't know how much I would, actively use this unit. More or less, I kind of created this team just specifically for this showcase, just to see how the unit would perform. But yeah, I'm not quite sure 100% as to like how often I would use them, but depending on how things go about in coming events and new stuff getting implemented into the game, there could be potentially a bigger need for this unit to be on a team. So I think we can leave it at that. It's just kind of funny. Like the super attack animation's pretty good. I actually do enjoy it. It's pretty hilarious with the farting mechanism and whatnot, and the card itself is nice looking. The skill sets aren't, massively terrible or anything by any means. So, I think it's a little bit too early to kind of determine, the functionality of the unit. I kind of have to play around under different scenarios and see how the unit would do. But at least from a preliminary showcase standpoint, Hopefully you guys did enjoy the 100% potential for the free-to-play AGL Veku unit that just came out. At some point I'll probably end up maxing out the link levels and maybe do a revised showcase on it, but until then, certainly stay tuned, and hopefully you'll be on the lookout for the next video. Until then, I guess I will catch you guys later. So with that being said, peace out.